Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's Ryan over here at the Trawf. Got a good one for you today. Whenever we have dinner, my kids for sure, and admittedly myself, always want to know kind of what's coming for dessert. And so tonight, it's Sunday, so we'll take a little extra time, make a special dessert today. Using a recipe from Martha Stewart, I'm going to make a galette, which is sort of a free-form rustic pie. Use a very basic pate brisee crust that I'll show you how we make, and then we're gonna fill this one with apples and rhubarb. So stay tuned. I think this is gonna be a great cook and look forward to sharing it with you. Welcome to the Trawf. Okay, so to go ahead and start out our galette recipe today, we have to make our pie crust, all right? So as I mentioned earlier, I prefer to use Martha Stewart's pate brisee recipe. Why wouldn't I? It's Martha Stewart after all. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2.5 cups of flour, or 8.5 ounces by weight, and drop that into the food processor. To that, we're going to be adding a teaspoon of salt. Go ahead and put it in, buddy. And a teaspoon of sugar. We'll put the cover on and we'll just pulse that to combine. Alright, next we'll take and add 1 stick of butter, which is a 1/2 cup, and you'll see that I've got it cut into a small dice here, very, very cold, right out of the refrigerator. So we'll add that to the food processor, and we want to process this until it resembles coarse meal. Okay, so this is the pulse button. Push that on and off. Now, what we'll do is we're going to measure out a 1/4 cup of ice water. And by ice water, we mean ice water. It's got to be very, very cold. All right, so I've got some water here set aside with some ice cubes in it. I'll measure out a 1/4 cup, and we're going to add that to the processor while it's turned on. So why don't you turn it on, buddy, and I'll add the cold water. Add between 1/4 and 1/2 until the dough starts to come together. You don't want it to be too sticky, but you want it to hold together. This is the consistency that we're looking for. So for this galette or freeform pie, we've got our dough made. It's chilling in the refrigerator, and we're going to be adding rhubarb and apples. There's a variety of apples here. This produce is almost all entirely from our Imperfect Produce box. And so we'll get these all prepped, ready to go, and get them in the pie. Alright, so now that we've got our fruit all cut up, apple into coarse slices, rhubarb is the same. Obviously we want to sweeten this up just a little bit. So what we're going to do is into the bowl we're going to add some coarse salt, about a tablespoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice, a tablespoon of cornstarch and a half a cup of granulated sugar. And we'll stir that to combine. It's been about an hour, so we'll go ahead and get our pate brisee out of the refrigerator and get it rolled out. So we want to take our one disc and we want to roll this out to about 13 inches or so. So once we've got the crust rolled out like this, again, we don't have to be too particular about the edges because this is a rustic freeform pie. And so what we need to do now is, using the rolling pin, roll the crust onto the pin. That's just to help you lift it. And we'll unroll it onto a baking sheet. But once we have that spread out, we'll take our fruit, which we have covered with sugar and lemon juice, and we'll place this right in the middle. Our pie nearly complete. The last thing to do is to get that golden buttery crust or shiny crust, we'll apply an egg wash. And to sweeten up the crust a little, I'll just hit it with just a little sugar right on top of the egg.